Gezintahait Street. And tonight we have two stories. It's the anniversary of the previous Rebbe's release from Stalin's jail. And these two stories cover, in a way, to give an idea of the background and at least the width of the story. When the previous Rebbe told this, what I'm going to relate, when he was in the Soviet prison, he resolved that his jailers would not have any effect on him or on his Jewish practice. In his mind, they had no authority over him at all. It was if they simply did not exist. Now you're talking about a Stalin jail in Russia in the 1920s. The previous Rebbe's resolve did not weaken. Even after he was thrown into a dungeon for not answering their questions. Slimy mud coated the dungeon's walls and floor, and the cell swarmed with rats and other crawling creatures. There was no place for the Rebbe to lean, much less sit. And for 24 hours, the Rebbe held out until he was finally returned to his cell. On Thursday, the 1st of Tammuz, at 11 in the morning, his guards came with tea. They ordered him, in Russian, to stand up. The Rebbe answered in Yiddish, he's not going to comply.
Get him straight, he's not going to comply.
Apparently, one of the guards was Jewish, since he understood the Rebbe's answer. The guards warned him that prison rules required that he stand to show respect for their authority. And if he didn't stand, they would beat him. The Rebbe answered, "No." So, the tea was removed. The guards fulfilled their threat. They beat him unmercifully. Afterwards, a new cohort of guards entered the cell, and one of them was Lulav from the Jewish section of the secret police, which dealt with Jewish counter-revolutionaries. And Lulav was from a Hasidic family. And he was the one that led the raid in which the Rebbe was arrested. He said, "Rebbe, why are you starting up with them? Why are you fighting with them? You have to understand that when you are commanded to stand, you have to stand." The Rebbe didn't answer. "Answer me," Lulav commanded. The Rebbe didn't answer. One of the guards slugged the Rebbe under his chin with such force that he felt it for a long time after the incident took place. Later, a third cohort of guards, including a Jew named Kubalov, entered the cell. Again, the Rebbe was ordered to stand, and again he refused. The Jewish guards struck the Rebbe and said in Russian, "We will teach you a lesson." The Rebbe answered in Yiddish, "I'm not sure who will teach who." A few days later, the Rebbe was escorted into a prison office and told that his sentence had been commuted to 3 years of exile in the remote town of Kostroma. He was under a death penalty. Now, his sentence was commuted to 3 years in exile. Our Rebbe points out in explaining the story that stories of our Rebbeim, and especially a story that a Rebbe tells about himself, teach us lessons in how to serve Hashem. The previous Rebbe resolved to treat concealments or obstacles to upholding and spreading Judaism as non-existent. His resolution was so strong that even after he was beaten 3 times, his resolve did not waver. Furthermore, the Rebbe's determination affected a Jew whose whole life was dedicated to waging war against the Torah and Jewish values. Even Lulav finally realized there's Judaism, there's Chassidus, and there's a Rebbe, as shown by the fact that he addressed the Rebbe as Rebbe. He didn't say prisoner. He said, "Rebbe, why are you starting up with them?" Through this incident, the previous Rebbe cleared a path for every Jew. We all have the ability to ignore as non-existent any concealments and obstacles to strengthening Judaism in ourselves and in the world. And this is especially the case in our present circumstance, when Judaism can be spread openly without direct obstacles and concealments. In fact, we are helped in our mission to the point that we are rewarded for it, not only in the world to come, but also in this world. Therefore, it's as clear as day that if we resolve strongly to accomplish the mission that Hashem gave us and not let difficulties get in the way, we're assured that the goal will be accomplished. Those of us who are poor in das understand our mission. What do you mean our mission? Is to do everything possible to bring Mashiach. In the words of the Rebbe, I am leaving it up to you. We want Mashiach now.
We want Mashiach now.
Now, at that time, after they told him they commuted his sentence, on the 3rd of Tammuz, coincidentally the same day our Rebbe passed away, a few days after the previous incident, the previous Rebbe was escorted into the office of the prison, and he was given news the sentence was commuted to 3 years in exile. They asked him which class he preferred to travel on the train. He said, first class. They asked, do you have money to pay for such a fancy seat? He said that money was confiscated from him when he was arrested, and he would pay with that money, and if that's not enough, he'll tell his family to pay the cost of the ticket. They finally told him he was only permitted to travel second class. Then he was given the news that he would be allowed to visit his family for 6 hours on Thursday before leaving for exile. The Rebbe asked when he would arrive in Kosterma. On Shabbos, they said. The Rebbe responded he would not travel on Shabbos no matter what. This is the Rebbe dictating to the Stalinist government. When the previous Rebbe related this story, he concluded that Baruch Hashem, he did not have to travel on Shabbos. Rather, he stayed in jail until Sunday, and then visited his home for the promised 6 hours, and that night he left for exile in Kosterma. Our Rebbe points out that the prophet Isaiah foretold about the time of the final redemption. Hashem declared, Isaiah said, I will say to the north, in this case the Russian government, give them up. Jeremiah said, the Lord said to me, from the north comes evil. Nevertheless, they will be ordered to give them up. Thus, evil ones not only will be unable to prevent the salvation, they will assist in it. Like the Russian government helped the Rebbe to get out. And this prophecy was manifest in the salvation of the previous Rebbe on Yud Beis Tammuz through the fact that the Rebbe did not have to travel on Shabbos. He was allowed to stay over Sunday despite the government's policy that no one who was not released could leave, and anyone who was released has to leave. Even in the face of this unbreakable rule, the Rebbe was able to prevail. Now, I want to tell a second story about the news of his release, but maybe we should have a niggin.
Oh, we should.
We can have a niggin.
Let's have a niggin.
That's in honor of every Rebbe's release.
All right.
Pada b'sholem nafshi mikrav li ki berabim hayu imadi pada b'sholem nafshi mikrav li ki berabim hayu imadi yishma אנשי דומים, דומים ומרמה, ויחצו ימיהם, אנשי דומים, דומים ומרמה, ויחצו ימיהם.
Okay, the second story.
You know, like my mashpia told me 3,000 years ago, yes, baby.
This is titled The Rebbe's Release on Yud Beis Tammuz. Now, I don't know if this happened only like a week after he got to exile or it was the next year. But I think it makes sense it was only a week afterwards. When the previous Rebbe was in exile in Kostroma, he was required to report to the secret police on a regular basis. When he appeared on Yud Beis Tammuz, a smiling official, can you imagine that smiling face?
like Marvin.
With the steel teeth. With the steel teeth. A smiling official gave him surprising news. His release had been ordered by the authorities in Moscow. And a train ticket would be issued so that he could return to his home in Leningrad. When Rabbi Eliyahu Nau Chaim Altais, who was accompanying the Rebbe, heard this news, half of his face turned pure white and the other half turned blood red. The Rebbe had to calm him down. And since that day, Yud Beis Tammuz was an official government holiday, the ticket could not be issued until the next day, Yud Gimel Tammuz. In the words of the Rebbe, a bird from heaven carried the good news to the few Hasidim in Kostroma. And before the Rebbe reached his lodging, the celebrations had already begun. Rabbi Michael Dvorkin was dancing around the house with a small bottle of strong drink in his hand. As he danced, he sang, "There is none beside you, net, net, nirkavo." Rabbi Michael continued dancing and singing exuberantly for over an hour. In Kostroma, the Rebbe lived in the home of the local shochet, the kosher meat slaughter, who had a young son. And when the child saw everyone was so happy, he too began to celebrate by walking on his hands with his feet in the air.
That's a talented boy, Bitzaliu.
Our Rebbe teaches this story can serve as a lesson in our own service to Hashem. There were 3 different responses to the good news of the Rebbe's release. Rabbi Michael danced around the house with a bottle, singing exuberantly. Rabbi Eliyahu, Chaim's face dramatically changed color, and the child walked on his hands with his feet in the air. Similarly to the Baal Shem Tov story about the ignorant boy in Rosh Hashanah, that boy did not know how to pray. And when he saw people beseeching Hashem, he gathered all his strength and called out like the roosters he saw in his yard, "Cock-a-doodle-doo, God have mercy." And his simple prayer was so effective, it annulled all bad decrees. Similarly, every person travels through 3 stages of life: a child, an adult, and old age. Parallel to this kid, Rabbi Michael and Rabbi Eliyahu Chaim. Actually, we experience these 3 stages every day, or certainly every year. First, a person achieves a level of immature intellect, small brains, mochan dekatnas. Similar to the child who celebrated by walking on his hands, even though he had no idea of how important the news was. Second, a person acquires complete intellect, a mature brain, mochan degadlus, like Reb Michael, who grasped the greatness of the miracle. And third, a person acquires a settled mind, yishuv das. Like Rabbi Eliyahu Chaim, like it says, the older the person, the more settled his intellect. But in each case, those involved exceeded the ordinary level of service. The child didn't just jump for joy, he walked on his hands. And Reb Michael, who understood the miracle with his intellect, didn't expound about the wonderful news, but danced as if it was Simchas Torah. While Rabbi Eliyahu Chaim, who had a settled intellect, was so overwhelmed the previous Rebbe had to calm. The lesson is that at each stage of development, holiness should permeate a person to the point where it overwhelms his existing faculties, thereby enabling him to reach a new and higher level of service. And this is what's commanded in Shema Yisrael, the service of with all your might, b'chol ma'odecha. The word "your" being the key. Through the service with all your might, a person draws down the level of your might from above to true source of might, the mighty one. Now there's an added little addendum here. It's called the unity of the Chassidim. The previous Rebbe related that when the Russian government wanted to institute laws on Jewish education that threatened to secularize the Jews of Russia, that Tzemach Tzedek, the Rebbe of that time, publicly opposed the government. He was arrested multiple times at great risk, even to his life. And when he was asked how he could endanger himself when so many Jews looked to him for spiritual and physical leadership, he answered, "My sons will take over. And even if my sons can't, the unity of the Hasidim will sustain them until Mashiach comes." We want Mashiach.
We want Mashiach now.
Do we have a niggun?
Oh boy, do we have a niggun in Salim. Ready? Hey, ya, did dam, ya, ho, you did dam, ya, did dam, I did that, ya, dam, ya, ho, you did dam, hey, ya, did dam, I did that, hey, ya, ho, you did dam, ya, ho, you did dam, ya, hey, ya, my dam. Ay, ho, you did dam, ay, ho, you did dam, ay, hey, aha, hey, ya, my did dam, ya, my did dam, hey, ya, did dam, I did dam, hey, ya, hey, hey, ya, hey, ya, I did dam, ya, my did dam, hey, ya, I did dam, hey, ya, ay 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 hoy ad ya maida ay 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 hoy da ay 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 hoy da ay 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 hoy ad papa ay 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 da ay ay hoy da ay 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 da ay 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 da ay ay hoy da ay 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 da ay 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 da ay 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 da ay 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 hoy ad ya maida ay 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 hoy da ay 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 da ay 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 da aha hey yo ay da ay da hey ay da ay ay
Continuing with the practice that we've been doing lately, I have been saying Chassidus, and then the next week, my friend Gimel Elef learned it and gives it over a second time in his own inimitable, glamorous fashion. And we started doing this because Gimel Elef, being a senior, wants to help the seniors develop their minds so that they don't go to waste. And he's doing that through the explanations of Chassidus.
It's either this or Fox News.
Or Fox News. Now, the Chassidus that we're saying is the last mimer that the Rebbe edited and gave out to the public. And it's a very powerful mimer about the essence of the Jewish soul. So listen closely.
Men, you remember this mimer a little bit? Okay, my dear brothers and sisters, I want to tell you a mimer. It says in Parshas Tetzaveh, and you shall command the children of Israel, and they shall bring you pure olive oil, crushed for light, to keep a constant lamp burning. So first of all, the question is, usually in the Torah it says, and God said to Moses, tell the Jewish people, and they shall. Here it says, and you command the children of Israel. You command implies that it is in fact Moses, who is the one doing the commanding. But after all, is Moshe not merely the agent to transmit Hashem's commandments to the Jewish people? So why does it say, and you shall command? This is question numero uno. Second of all, it says, bring to you. They shall bring to you. The Jewish people will bring to you, i.e. to Moshe. Hang on a second. Isn't Aaron the one who deals, right? Aaron, the high priest, his brother, the one who deals with the menorah and lighting the menorah. So wouldn't it seem they should bring it to him? Why is it necessary to bring it to Moshe? This is question numero dos. Furthermore, it says, oil crushed lamo'er, to illuminate.
No, for the lamp, for the luminary.
For the luminary. What's mean luminary?
The lamp.
The lamp.
Not crushed to light,
not
but crushed for the lamp.
Right. Crushed as being the illuminator.
Yeah.
Okay, and not to illuminate. So wouldn't this be more appropriate to say to illuminate? After all, is this not what a light does? Is illuminate. Right, late? Anyways, furthermore, first it says a constant lamp, neir tomid, a constant lamp. But then later it says, me'erev ad boker, from the evening to the morning. Well, Eibishter, my dear, make up your mind, which is it? Is it an everlasting light? or is it a light that burns from the evening till the morning? Now the Rebbe starts to explain these ideas, because command, when he says you command, so tzivui, right, tetzave, like a mitzvah, has another meaning also, and it means a connection or a bond. That Moshe bonds and connects. You command, you tetzave, you connect the Jewish people to God's infinite light. That he connects them, Moshe is the one who connects them with the Or Ein Sof, with the light of the infinite one. Blessed be he. Now at the same time, they bring him the olive oil. Why? Because what do? They enhance Moshe's own spiritual power. It's not just that they bring it, that they do it to Moshe and he connects them, so he added something to them. But at the same time, when they're doing this, they adding to him. They give an addition to Moshe.
They bring him the oil.
Yeah, they bring him the oil. They give also an addition to him.
So that's fine.
Anyways, so this is because Moshe is the head and we are the feet. Like it says that 600,000 the feet is this nation that I am among them. That Moshe is the head, right? The head knows what we need to do, and we are the feet. But without the feet, as we know, without the feet, the head ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere, child, even without the feet. So the feet have a special thing also that the Jewish people is Moshe's feet. And through the feet, the head can get somewhere else and get to a higher place. Why? Because where's the I? Which I is it talking about?
Misam Anochi.
The Anochi. Yeah, Anochi.
Anochi.
Sheish Meis Elev Ragli, 600,000 feet, the nation, Asher Anochi Bekirboy, that I am among them.
And that I
meaning, what does it mean, I? It means not Moshe himself, it means that he brings godliness, the actual essence and self of godliness, give out. He brings it to the Jewish people.
And they bring him to it.
But the feet, right, because the feet have to bring him also. That this is a level of Hashem that is so transcendent that it does not even have a name, it can just be called I. So through the 600,000 people, the feet, through the Jewish people, the I gets revealed into the midst of Moshe. Now it says, and you shall command them, because Moshe's efforts to connect and bind the Jews with the infinite light, right, to bring him the olive oil, they shall bring to you. It brings an increasing light in Moshe, and this is because Moshe Rabbeinu is the Raya Mehemno. You know what this means? It means the Raya, the shepherd who is, the literal meaning is the shepherd who is trusted. But there's another meaning to this. It doesn't just mean that he's the shepherd who is trusted. It means that he is the shepherd of faith, that he is the one who sustains the Jewish people with faith. He is the one who gives them that faith in the first place. But hang on a second, you might ask. But don't the Jews not already have faith? After all, are they not maminim b'nei maminim, believers, the children of believers? That it is, they are born with this. It is a genetic trait for a Jew to believe in God. However, it is possible sometimes that this belief is just a makif. It is an encompassing force, but it does not become internalized. Right? So it doesn't become internalized. But Moshe Rabbeinu, he nurtures this faith.
He feeds the faith.
He feeds it, that it should come internal. Right? Just like when you eat something, it goes into your pupik. So Moshe Rabbeinu has slain. Moshe Rabbeinu made the emunah go into our pupik. The inside. Meaning it didn't become, it's not just a potential belief, but it's an actual belief. So now the shepherd of faith does not only apply to Moshe Rabbeinu himself, but rather in every generation there is an extension of Moshe Rabbeinu. Is the Roshei Alfei Yisrael, the heads of the thousands of Jewish people in every generation, who reinforce the faith of the Jews of their generation and enable them to internalize their faith in Hashem. So, for example, by the times of Purim, Mordechai HaTzadik was the extension of Moshe to his Torah and his observance of mitzvahs that he did specifically in a way of self-sacrifice. Right, like we know that when Haman made the decree, what did Mordechai do? He took children out to study in public, to study Torah in public. So after that, Moshe, and of course the extension of Moshe, he proceeds to explain what this means. Why does it say crushed for light? Why is it crushed? As well as why for the lamp and not to illuminate? Why is it the illuminator and not just to illuminate? Because when we are in exile, what happens in exile? We become crushed and broken. And only through this we are able to approach the source of light from which the light emanates. Why? Because during exile, even during the times of Moshe Rabbeinu himself, what they did, it didn't have to be with Mesiras Nefesh, with giving their life. After all, we know the miracles that Hashem fought for them with his own hand, etc. But by Mordechai, and in exile in general, we come to a point where we have to have self-sacrifice. And this causes that we should be able to approach the source of the light, not just the light, not just to illuminate, but the illuminator. We can approach the source of the light in the Eibishter. So now we understand the connection of crushed for the light. This is a function of Moshe Rabbeinu, because Moshe Rabbeinu helps us to have Mesiras Nefesh, self-sacrifice. And through this we can internalize our faith. Now it says in the Megillah of Purim that Kiblu HaYehudim Meis Asher Yechebu Lasos. The Jewish people accepted what they had already begun, meaning that at the time of the Purim miracle, right, what they finished, what they began at the time of giving of the Torah. That the giving of the Torah was just the beginning, but by the time of Achashverosh, and more particularly, and the time of the evil Haman's decree, this was the actual acceptance of the Torah. Why? Because by the Torah, it was such a revelation, it was easy. But by Purim, it was in the face of being wiped out. So this now was a real acceptance. Wait a second. Time out. Tio. Was tut sich da? How is it possible at the giving of the Torah, when the Jews were in the highest level, they were in the highest spiritual peaks and received revelations of godliness. For example, all of the makos, the fragis, all of the plagues in Egypt, and all the miracles of the Exodus and the miracles of the splitting of the sea. On the other hand, the Jews in the time of Achashverosh, in the time of Purim, were at the lowest of levels, because the exile made a lot of challenges. There was, in this time of Haman, there was a very, very great, even on top of a regular exile, a very, very great concealment. And in fact, to the point that the very lives of all the Jewish people was in danger. But this is exactly the point, because when the giving of the Torah was just a beginning, and even though at the lowest level, by the times of Haman, this is when they accepted. Why? Because but during Haman's decree, the observance of Torah and mitzvahs was inspired by Mesiras Nefesh, self-sacrifice. Because had they forsaken their faith, nothing would have happened to them. They could have just said, okay, you know what, we're not Jewish anymore. Okay, go on your merry old way. If you're not Jewish anymore, no problem. See you later, alligator. But not even one, right? Because the decree was against who? The Jews. Meaning, what does it mean, the Jews? Meaning those who held to their faith. But they refused, not even one of them agreed to relinquish their connection to Hashem, even in the face of certain death. And in fact, not only they didn't give up their religion, They also gave self-sacrifice in the observance of Torah and mitzvahs, to the extent that they congregated to study Torah in public with self-sacrifice. And who did it? Mordechai. And we will talk about that right after this meeting.
Last week, I don't want
That's coming up. That's coming up in the mimer. Is that a song also?
Yeah.
Can I have a seltzer?
Yeah. From where am I starting?
Thank you.
That's so low, no? Will mit keine Lame sel ja. Will mit keine Lame stafte ich Say A big time boogie B'tzalim. Now, it was Mordechai, the Moshe of his generation, who inspired this self-sacrifice, my dear brothers and sisters. The Jews accepted what they had already begun, that the giving of the Torah was merely a beginning, but their acceptance became at the time of Haman's decree, because the actual expression of self-sacrifice brought them to a level that was even higher than what they experienced by giving of the Torah. This explains why in the time of Haman's decree the Jews were able to attain such a peak. Why? Because these high levels of self-sacrifice, they come from the essence of the soul, a level which transcends revelation. And thus, because the Jews were crushed, they were in exile, and not just in exile, in a very bitter, in the most bitter exile. So therefore, they were crushed, meaning that they revealed the essence of their souls. And the soul connect, because of this, they were able to reveal this, not just the light, not just the illumination, but the source of the light, the luminary himself. So we see that crushed for the lamp shares a connection with the concept that Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who sustains and nurtures the faith of the Jewish people, allowing them to internalize their faith. Jews believe in God, meaning that they believe with a simple faith and they do not require any proof. And two ways of this faith are revealed. One of them is the soul, as it exists in the spiritual realm, sees godliness, and in fact it has a power of perception that is higher than intellect, and therefore it's not just through the power of thought, but rather it is higher than this, and this in turn affects the soul the way it is lower than this, enclosed in the body, that it also imbues it with faith. Faith. The second thing is that faith is rooted in the essence of the soul, meaning it's higher than what Mazoli, what is it?
Chazayu.
Yeah, Chazayu, that his Mazel sees, let's say a Mazel, it means a higher level of himself.
Higher than intellect, sees a revelation of God.
A revelation of God that's higher.
But this second thing is more essential than that.
Because it's the actual essence of the soul, B'tzali.
There's no revelation at all needed because it's one essence with God.
So meaning by the thing that his Mazel sees, it's that his Mazel sees a revelation.
Yeah,
in this case, it's not even a revelation. Right. It's just, this is the way it is the essence of me is connected with the essence of God and finished. And finito.
And that's why it could be internalized.
Yeah.
Because the first one is too big. It can't be internalized.
But this is just a fact.
But the second one, it's in one essence. So the essence can come into intellect and emotion.
All the way high and all the way low.
All the way high and all the way low.
So, the perception of the soul in the spiritual realms, it's only an encompassing light. the spiritual realm is too elevated to be enclosed within the body. Right? So it can't be internalized. However, when there's a central connection, then it can become internalized, because the essence of the soul is the essence of the soul also before it's enclosed in the body. And when it becomes enclosed in the body, the essence of the soul, the same essence of the soul. So now for Moshe, the endeavor to nurture and sustain the faith of the people, enabling them to internalize this is why, like we said, so how do you reveal it? By revealing the essence of the soul. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu could do something about this, because what Moshe Rabbeinu does is he reveals the essence of the soul. Meaning higher than the level of the spiritual level that he perceives, rather above any perception at all, the very essence Moshe reveals. And this is the expression, crushed for the luminary, that is the feeling of being crushed in exile is necessary to reach this level of being connected to the essence of the soul, the luminary, the lamp that shines the light. That the revelation of the essence of the soul comes about from Mesiras Nefesh, which this mainly happens in the time of exile. The willingness...
By Moshe, they didn't need Mesiras Nefesh, because God was revealed to them.
Yeah, he was revealed to them. He said, Anochi Havai Lekech, I am. It's like, hello, hey guys, it's me, here I am. How do you do?
Hiya, kids, hiya.
Now, the willingness of a Jew to sacrifice his life for faith, this comes from the faith that is rooted specifically in the essence of the soul. Because the faith that stems from a revelation, Mazalayu Chazi, does not motivate such a commitment to actually give one's life. And since his faith comes from an external factor, a revelation, right, by Mazalayu Chazi, it comes from the soul's perceiving and having a revelation. This is not one with the essence of his being, and therefore it does not necessitate Mesiras Nefesh. You see, Leib, I said necessitate right this time. Why will a Jew give up his life for his faith? Because faith in God is the very essence of his being. Yeah, exactly. And Moshe's function as a shepherd of faith, that he sustains and nurtures the faith of the Jews, applies also to the shepherds of Israel in every generation. It's not just Moshe himself, it is all of the shepherds of the Jewish people. Because they strengthen the faith and self-sacrifice for the sake of the observance of Torah and mitzvahs.
It's all. There was a wind in the air today.
I'm sorry, that was me. I
It
apologize.
was a wind. It was a hot wind.
I apologize. That was for sure me. I apologize.
No, that's outside of the wind you create every day. There was a wind, and it said, it whispered to Shuvah, now is the time. It seems like it's early. But
Because
this
it's early. It's not supposed to come till Elul.
This wind.
Yeah, but it says, we heard it from the Balticheva Rav through Reb Hillel, that it's better, and it says this in the Gemara, it's better to run in front of a lion than to follow a young girl. And the Balticheva explained it, that it's better to start to do tshuva in the summer months before you get to Elul. The mazel of the month of Av is a lion. It's better run in front of a lion, start to do tshuva now, instead of waiting for Virgo for the mazel of Elul.
Oh, Bitzalel, 26 years ago I followed a young girl. I'm still paying for it.
This is what this song is. This is usually reserved for the sukkah.
Late. Okay, let's do this. Make me ready.
We're going to do it now because this is the time to do it.
Okay.
As soon as you feel that wind, that hot summer
The wind of
in
tshuva.
your face,
Yeah, it got cooler.
that should be the call.
But it got cooler today. That's usually the wind of tshuva is when the
Well,
heat
the wind
declines.
of hell is hotter, a lot hotter.
Probably.
Think about that for a second.
Okay, let's go.
Elu v'elu omrim,
Ashrei mi shelechoto. Ashrei mi shelechoto. Mi shechoto yoshu yoshu. Yoshu yoshu. Mi shechoto yoshu yoshu. Yoshu yoshu. Yoshu Oh, Yashrei, 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 Ashrei mi shelechoto. Ashrei, 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 hey, Ashrei mi shelechoto. Mi shelechoto, Yashu. Ashrei, 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 Ashrei mi shelechoto. Ashrei, 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 Ashrei mi shelechoto. Mi shechoto, Yoshu, Yoshu. Yoshu, Yoshu, Yoloi, Mi shechoto, Yoshu, Yoshu, Yoshu,
with me that you can't follow and act like that. I think we should sign off now while we're on a high. What do you think? And then you can finish it up next time.